Alright, 7th graders, lesson 85, order of operations with signed numbers. We'll start out with and do some functions a little bit later. So the first thing that we want to work on is doing these groups of signed numbers. And looking at this problem here that we see here, I need to remember I like to do multiplication and division first, and things in parentheses. Now there's no two problems in parentheses. Individual numbers are in parentheses, but here I see multiplication and here I see division. So if I wanted to, I can group this here and group this here. Notice I didn't circle the functions that you see here, the addition and the subtraction. They're not going to be included. So now if I rewrite this, I'll have a negative 2 plus, and here negative 2 times negative 2 is 4, and two negatives make a positive, so it's going to be, keep these numbers in parentheses, plus a positive 4, and then I see minus right here, and then negative 2 divided by positive 2 will equal 1. 2 over 2 is 1, but a negative and a positive makes a negative. So minus a negative 1. Okay, now I can go ahead and work from left to right. Negative 2 plus 4 will be a positive 2 minus a negative 1. That really means plus 1, so the answer here will be 3. So the answer to this problem up over here is 3. Okay, so we can figure out this type of problem again by grouping that we see here and then solving them down below. Again, not including the functions out in front, just including the signs in the parentheses is helpful. Alright, let's move on to example 2. Alright, here's example 2. 7th graders, again, we just got to go bit by bit and figure out what bits and pieces we can do ahead of time to solve this problem. So we can break it up into chunks, and that's a good thing to do. So let's show those chunks here. And alright, and here you can see I've color coded the different chunks that we're going to be doing here. So let's go ahead and begin working through these. In the first chunk here we see we've got some numbers in the parentheses here. So let's rewrite that down below. I'll have a negative 3, and then 2 minus 4 will be a negative 2. Alright, then over here I've got negative 4 times negative 2 times a negative 3. So it really doesn't matter what order we do these in here, but I'm going to start with a negative 4 times the negative 2. So we'll do that. Negative 4 times a negative 2 equals a positive 8, because a negative times a negative is a positive. And I'll leave the negative 3 in the parenthesis there. Line over there, and then in the next part, again I've got a negative 3 times a negative 4 up there. So that's going to make a positive 12 divided by 2. Okay, now let's take it one step further. And here I've got a negative 3 times a negative 2, so that's going to be a positive 6. Okay. And in the next number, I've got 8 times a negative 3. And 8 times a negative 3 will be a negative 24. And in the last section, I've got a positive 12 divided by 2, which is a positive 6. So now, if I rewrite this whole problem, I've got positive 6 minus 24 plus 6. And now we can try to solve that. Positive 6 minus 24 will be a negative 18 plus 6 will equal a negative 12. So the answer to this blue problem way up here is a negative 12. So again, the main thing that we can point out in today's lesson is we see this big long string of numbers, but it's helpful to break it up, and we broke it up here because we had a minus. We broke it up here, we had a plus. So we had division problems, multiplication problems, and we had multiplication problems over here. So don't be afraid. Maybe you have to on your paper. This isn't a problem that you can necessarily do on your calculator. It's better to do on your paper, and don't be afraid to color code it like this in each section. And it's best to show your work, not try to skip steps, because that can become confusing. Alright, let's go on to example 3. Alright, here we have example 3, and we've got a pair of double brackets right here. So that means we have to solve all of the numbers in here and come down to one number before we can work with the negative 2. So let's work with multiplication. First I'm going to rewrite this here. Alright, negative 4 times a negative 5 is going to be 20. A negative times a negative makes a positive. So a negative 4 times negative 5 is a positive 20. Put that in there. Alright, the next step again is to solve in the parentheses here. So we'll do that. Right, negative 2 minus, and then a negative 3 minus 20, a positive 20 is going to be a negative 23. So put brackets around there. And next we have a negative 2 minus a negative 23, which two negatives make a positive. So you'll have negative 2 plus 23. Negative 2 plus 23 is going to be a positive 21. So, oops, a positive. So this answer up here is positive 21. All right. So again, working with these signed numbers and also order of operations. Very important to go slow, know which parts you need to do. Let's go on to functions. Alright, here we're going to be using these different functions. And so in the first function over here, we take a look, you put in a 0, you get out a 0. Put in a 3, get out a 6. Alright, I could be adding 3 or multiplying by 2. Then over here we put in a 4. If I added 3, I should get 7, but I don't. But I multiply by 2, I get an 8. So if I put in a 7, I should get a 14 over here. So this would be a 14. Okay. So we want to make a formula now for these functions. And what we're going to say is that the number that you put in we're going to call x, and the number that you get out is going to be the y number. So if I put an equal symbol here, x, and then what are you going to do to x to figure out y? Well, in our case, we multiply by 2. So x times 2 will equal y. That's the function of this function machine right here. So you can pick any number then that you want to and put it in for y over here. So if I put in a 10, 10 times 2, out would come a 20. Okay, if I put in a negative 4, negative 4 times 2 would be negative 8. Out would come a negative 8. So it doesn't matter what number you put in, just take it out. Alright, then let's go take a look at this one over here. Here I'm putting a 14 and I get out a 7. Okay, I could minus 7, divide by 2. Here I put in a 10 and I get out a 3. So dividing by 2 doesn't work, but subtracting 7 seems to. Let's go down here. 5 minus 7 is a negative 2. Alright, so to get a 0 over here, that means I must have put in a 7. Because, now let's write the function for this one. Again, we have an x, and this is the equals, and this is the y. And what are we doing to x? We are subtracting 7. So you, again, whatever number you put in for x, you'll subtract 7 and it will give you a new number. So I could do 20 minus 7 would be 13. Or 6 minus 7 would be a negative 1. So it's important to learn to write these different functions here as you see them. All right, 7th graders. So what we're going to do now in example 4 here is we're going to be working with the function, and we're going to turn what you've been doing in this type of function box, and we're just going to change in here. So basically we're getting rid of this old way of doing it, and they're going to give you a nice formula like you see in your book above there. Y will equal 2x plus 1. So you put in the x right here, you pick these numbers, these are the numbers you're going to be putting in for the x, then solve this part of the problem, and out will come the y, the number that you'll put in this box. So it's the same as we were doing over here, except now they're going to tell you. Here you always had to find out what the function is. Now they're going to be telling you, so that's kind of nice. You just need to plug the numbers in. So let's plug that number in. Let's plug in the 4. So y will equal 2 times 4 plus 1. So we do 2 times 4, that's 8. Plus 1 is y, so y will equal 9. So we can go up here and say that's a 9. If I put in a 4, out comes a 9. We can do the same thing then for 7. So y will equal 2 times 7 plus 1. So again, we go, okay, I got to do the 2 and the 7 first, so that's 14 plus 1. So y will equal 15. So if you put in a 7, out will come a 15. And finally, let's put in the 0. So y equals 2 times 0 plus 1. So 2 times 0 is 0, 0 plus 1, so y will equal 1. So if I put in a 0, I get out a 1. So again, we're getting rid of this old way of doing it. It will still pop up from time to time in your book, just working on that skill. But now they're going to give you the formula, and you just need to take these numbers, which are under the x, which means you put in these numbers for x, and out will come the y, the answer, and then you put those under here. So that's what you will be doing today. That's it. You can get started on your practice set, 7th graders.